The air quality index is at 549 for PM 2.5 level pollutants in New Delhi today, and cars are being clamped down for pollution, despite the fact that passenger cars account for a mere 12% of vehicular emissions, whereas the likes of motorcycles and trucks that account for more than twice as much of that pollution are roaming free. But that's a topic of debate for another day. For today, I'm here with my Delhi odd-even beating Hyundai Kona Electric. Now, there is a report from the International Energy Agency stating the devastating effects of nickel mining that goes into the making of lithium-ion battery packs for electric cars. And the battery pack of this particular car comprises of 60% nickel. So just because an electric car does not have tailpipe emissions does not mean it has no ill effects on the environment whatsoever. Right, now that I've informed you about vehicular emissions and the ill effects of electric cars, let's get on with what we're here actually to do today. So I've been living with this electric Kona for a couple of days now. I've been driving it around town and out on highways as well. So I'm going to take you through just what it's like to live with an electric car in the NCR region. So this Kona Electric for India comes with the 39.2 kilowatt hour rating, which means this isn't as powerful as the higher spec international model. But not to worry, because from where I'm sitting, I think this car has plenty of power for our roads. And when it comes to the matter of driving range, well, realistically, this car will drive anywhere between 280 to 300 kilometers on a fully charged battery. And that, for most people, is adequate. In that sense, the Kona EV is an adequate electric car. But the issue comes for somebody like me who lives in Gurgaon and works in Delhi. In that case, my up and down journey is 90 kilometers odd. At that pace, I have to charge this car every day because I don't want to drive anywhere on half a battery in the case that I go out somewhere after office and I want to make it back home. So with that in mind, now Hyundai claims that this car has an 8-year or 1,60,000 kilometer warranty on the battery. But then again, there's a catch. This battery has 2,000 charge cycles. That's how long it can last. Hyundai at this point does not have an answer to how much a battery pack for the Kona costs, the lithium-ion battery pack. And with that, let's move on to the issue of charging. For the Kona EV, Hyundai offers 3 types of electric chargers. One is a 2.8 kilowatt portable charger that comes with the car. It's in the boot right now. That's what I've been charging it with essentially. That requires about 18 to 19 hours to fully charge this battery. That's a long time. Then there is a 7.2 kilowatt charger. It's a wall-mounted charger that Hyundai provides with this car. So when you buy it, they'll provide it to you. They'll install it for you at your home or your office, wherever you request them. And that can charge up the battery pack fully in a time of 6 hours and 10 minutes. That's a claimed figure, of course. So that isn't too bad. That sounds much better. But then there is a fast charging option as well. That's a DC charger. It's a CCS Type 2 charger that Hyundai offers, and that can charge up the battery to 80% in 57 minutes claimed. But the problem here comes with the fact that I could not find a single DC charger, a CCS Type 2 DC charger anywhere in Delhi. So I asked the Hyundai officials, where can I charge this car, with a faster charger than the 2.8 kilowatt lying in the back. Now, to that they replied, they sent me an address to a charging station in Gurgaon. But I used this app called Electrify to find charging stations in Delhi. It's quite nice in the sense that it gives you the address and location and everything, but it does not have Google Maps connectivity on it. Anyway, so I got to a charging station. It said Type 2 charging station. It didn't say what kind of Type 2. So I got to a Type 2 charging station in Malcha Marg. But when I reached there, I realized that there was a compatibility issue because the port on that one is different from the one on the Kona. So that wouldn't fit. So I took the Hyundai officials' advice and I headed to Gurgaon. Now, there was a charging station in DLF Cyber City. It's a plug and go charging station. And when I got there, I met the operator of the electric charging station. He was very helpful and he knew what he was doing. So again, over there, the DC fast chargers were the GBT Type 2 chargers. Now, this type of charger is used by the Mahindra e-Verito and the Tata Tigor EV. So while they're compatible for that car, the DC fast charger was not compatible for this car. What I ended up finding is a wall box unit. AC fast charger is what the operator told me. So he said the Hyundai officials had visited the site and he said it was rated at about 6 kilowatt. But after a short while of plugging in the charger over there, I quickly realized that this is very similar to the portable car charger that I have been using. So it takes about 7.5 hours to charge up from 44%, which it was at that point of time. So that was long enough, so I left the car there, but the operator told me that the charging station shuts at 6 p.m. so I must return and collect the car before that. Now, I'm telling you all this because these are real issues that you will face if you buy a Hyundai Kona EV. Like I said, if your driving range is about 20 to 40 kilometers on a daily basis, that's all right. You can drive it for 4 or 5 days at a stretch without charging. But remember again, to be able to charge this car, you have to live in an independent house where you can mount a wall box charger, because in an apartment there is no place to plug in a portable charger, let alone mount a wall box charger, because societies will have the norms and all of that. If you're lucky, then your office space might have a facility to allow you to at least use the portable charger. And as for the DC fast charger, well, it's a really good brochure figure of 57 minutes of fast charging, but hey, if you can't find that type of charger, then it's inconsequential at this stage. Now let's get on to the actual matter of how the Kona EV drives. Well, as you know, this car comes with a single electric motor. It has a lithium-ion battery pack. Now this car comes with 4 driving modes: Eco, Eco Plus, Comfort and Sport. Now even in Eco mode, you can drive this car around very comfortably around the city, trust me. Now, as is the case with electric cars, they have instant power delivery because the motor can spin freely at any point of time, unlike an internal combustion engine which needs to build up the revs. So because of that, you get like instant throttle response the moment you tap at the throttle pedal. So now when you're driving around the city, it is a good idea to use these paddles behind the steering wheel. Because this is an electric car, you get a single speed transmission, but you get these paddles behind the wheel not for gear changes but for adjusting your brake energy regeneration. So you can pull it up to maximum level 3, and in which case, you know, the moment you lift off the throttle pedal, the car just immediately slows down. I've had somebody check from behind for me, so every time the car does that on its own, even though you're not touching the brake pedal, the brake lights do come on. That is an essential safety feature because the car slows down so drastically that the driver behind you needs to be aware of that. So with that in place, there's a lot of brake energy regeneration happening at this stage, and that really helps, you know, improve your driving range. Now, something else that I have noticed in Eco mode is that whatever the display unit says, the distance to empty unit says, supposing it says 200 kilometers of driving range left, it actually will be more than 200 kilometers guaranteed. The first time I drove this car at a stretch for about 65 kilometers, the drop in driving range was only about 52 kilometers. So in that sense, it's really good. Now, as you're driving along, this is an electric car, so there is no engine noise because there's no engine, because of which you get to hear a fair amount of tire noise and wind noise when you're cruising at around 60 to 80 kilometers an hour. But there are times when you'll hear that whine from the electric motor. It is there, and especially when you accelerate hard, there is a nice motor sound to it. So you do enjoy, I do enjoy that. So that was Eco mode for you. Now in Eco Plus mode, speed is limited to 90 kilometers an hour, and it also kills the air conditioning, but you can switch that on manually. But of course, if you need to get going faster, you can always head to comfort or sport mode. Now sport mode, the resulting acceleration is instantaneous. You just take off at that moment. So in sport mode, the Kona EV is actually a lot of fun to drive, largely because of those instantaneous throttle responses. So this car can also be quite a fast car to drive. So in that essence, out on straight highways and in the city, the Kona EV is not just environmentally friendly, but it is also a lot of fun to drive. I mean, I personally would drive this car over a diesel car any day of the week. It's a lot of fun. It's very smooth. It's very comfortable. It's very quiet. So in that sense, I mean, I think it's a really great urban car. But moving on to the matter of driving in sport mode, and when you hit open roads and highways, the distance to empty meter then becomes less accurate, because your throttle inputs are so hard that it's consuming a lot of battery. So while the display unit tells me that the kilometers are dropping, now in sport mode, when you head out to open roads and highways and expressways, again, the car is a lot of fun to drive on straight roads, but you must remember this, that there is a very heavy battery pack across the floor of this car all the way to the back. What that results in is that the car feels fairly heavy around high-speed bends, and because the battery pack is in the middle, and you need to be more careful while carrying out higher speeds. And at the same time, the steering response isn't that great. It's very comfortable, very light and nimble to use in urban environments, but it's not the most feelsome unit out there. And when you really start to push, you will notice that the car has a fair amount of understeer as well. But more importantly, when you're really attacking highway speeds, that's when the driving range of this car tends to drop quite quickly. So when you're doing that, there is no other alternative. You have to have DC charger compatibility if you're going to be doing those kinds of speeds regularly. Moving on to the ride comfort of this car, I was really impressed. You can throw any sort of road undulations at it, and the Kona suspension will just gobble it up. So the Kona Electric then is a brilliant car to drive in the city. It's just very smooth to drive, it's very comfortable, and it's quite nimble and agile. That reaction to throttle response, the quick electric reaction, is something that is addictive. This car overall, it looks very nice. Everybody looks at you out on the road. Coming to the interiors of the Kona, well, I have to say that the plastic quality leaves much to be desired from a Rs 25 lakh rupee car. Otherwise, there's a decent amount of equipment in terms of driving modes, heated and cooled seats, an electrically adjustable driver's seat, and of course the car comes with wireless phone charging. Coming to the rear seat, it is a little short on space, but then again, this isn't a long distance car, so it's quite alright for shorter commutes. Just because it is an electric car, it does not have to be compromised. That's what the Kona makes a statement for in India, because we've not had very capable electric cars here in the past. But all that has now changed with the Kona Electric. It truly is the ultimate urban commuter. But then again, you can't ignore the very real issues of the simple and plain lack of charging infrastructure. There is absolutely no charging infrastructure, at least no DC chargers that are compatible. It's best you stick to your 20 to 30 kilometer driving range, because then you'll be stress-free and you won't really be worried about where to charge and how long it's going to take and all of that, because like I mentioned, not all charging stations remain open 24/7. But considering the entire scenario of the Kona's realistic driving range, charging infrastructure, I think it's safe to say that if you're driving around in a 20 to 30 kilometer city driving radius, well, you're really covered. For the Kona Electric really does put its money where its mouth is.